Over the years, thousands of movies have been produced in every genre imaginable. Fantasy, anime, thrillers, horror, romance, comedy. If you can think of it, there's a film for it. But over the last few decades, something's changed. Instead of new stories, we're getting a wave of remakes, sequels, and spin-offs. But the real issue isn't whether these movies are good or bad. The issue is why big studios keep making them. Today, film companies are choosing guaranteed profit over creativity, and that shift is hurting original filmmaking. Studios love sequels and remakes because they're safe. They already have a built-in fan base, predictable revenue, and lower financial risk. Take Marvel, for example. The fan base is massive. A new Marvel movie could be the worst film ever made, and people would still show up on opening weekend. Not because of the movie, but because of the brand itself. For studios, that's perfect. For filmmakers, especially small filmmakers, not so much. The same thing is happening with remakes of classic movies like Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and Snow White. Studios take these classic animated films with their hand-drawn graphics and duplicate them with real actors and CGI. While this in itself isn't bad, they're not creating anything new. They're recreating something old in a different way. This is also happening with sequels. The movies themselves may be amazing, but when a franchise reaches the fourth or fifth installment, they cause the original movie, the one that started all this, to lose its novelty. So, I wish I could tell you that you can't have too much a good thing, but just like saying money can't buy happiness, adding more versions of the same story doesn't recreate the magic of the first film. Throughout history, the greatest achievements came from people who took risks, people who did the unthinkable and succeeded. The same is true for film. I spoke to an animator who worked on Toy Story, and he said something that stuck. The best films come from creativity and collaboration, not from burnout or repetition, and definitely not from playing it safe. When the artists have freedom to experiment, we get new characters, new animation styles, and new worlds. Think about movies like The Wizard of Oz, which was one of the first major films to use color, known for its iconic shift from black and white into a color film. It wasn't just a stylistic choice, it was a bold risk that changed film history. That's what happens when filmmakers innovate. New animation styles emerge, new characters are created, and those characters may become some of the most beloved ones for generations. None of this comes from formulas. They come from risks. They come from creativity. So, if creativity leads to great films, why aren't we seeing more original stories? Well, originality is expensive, and frankly, risky. Animated films can cost anywhere from $100 million to over $200 million to produce. Of course, this number varies greatly based on the production company, animators, technology used, but nonetheless, if an original idea flops, the studio loses millions. But a sequel, a remake, a reboot, those are almost guaranteed to make money. They're safe. But here's the good news. There is a shift happening. Studios like A24, Sony Animation, and even Disney are beginning to invest in more original films again. Movies like K-pop Demon Hunters, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Spider-Verse prove that audience still crave originality and will show up for it. In fact, K-pop Demon Hunters was one of the most watched films last year, reaching over 236 million views in a span of 3 months. If that doesn't show that originality can be worth the risk, nothing will. The shift towards original films isn't a complete transformation yet, but it's a start, and it shows that creativity isn't dead. It's simply waiting for studios to take a chance. Sequels and remakes can be amazing, no doubt, but eventually, it starts to feel like watching the 15th season of a show that should have ended at season 5. At some point, we need something new. New stories, new characters, new challenges, new risks. Because the films we remember, the ones that last for decades, aren't the ones that played it safe. They're the ones that dared to be original, who dared to stand out.